Good morning, guys. Happy Wednesday. And it feels like a Friday. It feels like this week has gone long. I don't know if you feel that same way, but I do. And some weeks drag by and some fly by, and this one's flown by seemingly. Anyway, happy Wednesday. And I want to talk today about something that was in the news yesterday, big time, right? The government passed a $1 trillion spending bill, which is a number that I can't even fathom. I mean, I can't even wrap my head around it. But a $1 trillion spending bill, and so a lot of the pundits, every time that something like that happens, right? It's a huge spending bill. We're spending. It's all deficit spending. In other words, we don't bring in that much tax money, but we're spending more than we bring in tax money, right? And we know what that does on a household level. If we spend more than we bring in on credit cards, all of a sudden one day we wake up and go, "Oh, yikes! This is not good. We have 100,000 in credit card debt or whatever we have." Well, the government's doing the same thing, right? And so what happens is all the pundits start talking about, well, this could bring on inflation. And by pundits, I mean someone who just is handed a sheet and says, read this, but they haven't really thought through it. They're just reading, hey, this could be inflation. But what's also interesting is also the economists that I follow who do look at the actual numbers behind things and think things through are kind of split. The majority of who I'm following say there's going to be inflation because there's just too much spending, too much money printing, too much deficit spending, etc. And a few are saying the opposite. A few are saying, no, I don't think we'll see inflation. I think we'll see deflation. Um, let's go with the inflation side for now. And let's just say all this is going to bring inflation. What's inflation? It's just everything costs more, right? It's supply and demand, but everything ends up costing more. Our dollars buy less stuff, right? Milk costs more at the supermarket. Our vacation costs more. Vacation costs more. I was just looking up a night at a resort nearby, Kiawah Island. Well, Kiawah, and good Lord, $900 and some per night. I don't think I can do that. I don't think I will. I don't think I can. But what about inflation? So what if inflation comes? It means our dollars that we work so hard for are not worth as much, and they don't buy as much. That's a better way to put it. They just don't buy as much. So we need the same stuff, right? We have a family, they need to eat. We have to pay for car insurance. We have to pay for all the stuff that we pay for, Starbucks in the morning, and it starts costing more. And we make the same. So how do we offset that? Pretty simple. Buying a home. Now, buying our own home doesn't help our income to offset inflation, but it does help our net worth to grow with inflation. Because what happens with inflation? Prices go up. Prices of homes go up as well, right? And that's why I have a lot of homeowners that we've helped into homes in the past few years, now taking a little bit of equity out that they've gained and buying investment property, because what else goes up? Rents. So if you haven't bought your own home yet, one way to combat inflation is buy a home. Let's share. I'm going to share my screen and show you what that means. And I just ran a quick number on here. And that should go like that, yes. And you should see my appreciation calculator. So again, what we're trying to do here is say if inflation's coming, and some say hyperinflation. I don't think that's coming. But what if I'm wrong, right? What if I'm right? It's the same scenario. We need some asset that works with inflation that also goes up in value as inflation takes hold to help our net worth, to help offset the hit that we're getting on our income and that it spends less. So let's say you buy a home for $350,000. You buy it with FHA, so that's 3.5% down, right? 3.5% of 350 is your down payment, and your closing costs equal about $4,500, which is about right. That's your closing costs. And you live in the property for 10 years, right? Now I put in here, we think inflation's coming, so the home appreciates or inflates, right, at 5% per year. And I'll show you, I'll change that in just a second. And you live in the property for 10 years. Did I say that? Yes, I did. So if it appreciates at 5% per year, here's what happens. Your $350,000 home at the moment you close on it is worth, surprise, $350,000. but it's worth $17,500 more than that the next year, and the next year more than that. And it keeps appreciating, but it keeps appreciating at 5% compounding, right? So after 10 years, you could resell that home for about $570,000. Now, what's your rate of return on that? After closing costs, net of closing costs, it's cumulative appreciation first. So you've gained 200 and some $1,000, right, over 10 years, just by buying a home instead of renting. We know rents are going up if there's inflation, right? We know that. And your percent of return, I think this is just massive. It's just a stupid percent of return, but it's real. But when you do that calculation, like 1,700%. So, but let's say I'm wrong. Let's say homes appreciate at 3% per year, because that's what they've done, right? They've appreciated about 3.5% to 4% per year over the last 50 years. So let's say it's 3%, not 5%. So you can't sell your home for 5, I forget what the number was, 500 and some, it's only 470. So you've only gained not 200,000, but 115,000 over the 10 years that you own the property. And your rate of return isn't 1,700%, but 945%. So even if I'm off on that appreciation, now last year I'm going to do this for fun. Last year we saw 20% appreciation, which was stupid. That won't continue. But I'm just wondering if the numbers were, yeah, those are super high numbers. Thankfully, that won't continue. Let's go back to 3. Somewhere between 3 and 5, I think is going to be more realistic over the next several years, if there is inflation and there's not deflation, right? That's the argument. Let me stop sharing my screen real quick. Screen share. So that's the argument, right? For buying instead of renting a home, because rents go up if inflation takes hold, but home prices go up and the value of your home goes up if inflation takes hold as well. So it's a way to offset what a lot of economists are saying is the coming inflation. If it's already here, we can feel it. But if it holds and continues, it's a way to offset that, right? So I would encourage you buy, and if I'm going to talk the next couple of days about things that hold you back potentially from buying and how to overcome that. So have a great Wednesday. Awesome talking to you. And put any comments you have down below, or just reach out to me with any questions or anything I can help with. Have a great Wednesday.